MJF does nothing for me. Anyone that says he's a great heel is fucking delusional and just wants to be accepted in this new age of pro wrestling fans. I hope Moxley beats him in 10 seconds. If he doesn't and they let this match go 15 minutes and MJF, who sucks at wrestling, and Moxley's going to have to carry him through this whole match, and it's just going to be bad.
Charlotte Flair does not have to be involved in the burst of everything or the major angle of everything involving the women in your company. Now you expect me to believe that she's going to win the Royal Rumble and go down to NXT and help make Rhea Ripley a star? She's probably going to end up beating Rhea Ripley and going down to NXT and, I don't want to say ruin a perfectly good women's division, but kind of hold things up down there. She was forced into the main event of last year's WrestleMania. She's involved in the first of everything when it comes to the women. Give it a rest for a little bit.
And sure enough, Goldberg wins the Universal title. And I'm like, I can't believe they actually did this stupid mistake again. We don't need a 53-year-old man with a barbed wire tattoo who was relevant about 20-something years ago in a title match at the biggest pay-per-view of the year. I'm getting tired of part-timers walking into WrestleMania with the title. The Rock a couple years ago. Lesnar seems to be doing it every year where he walks in with the title and drops it. Why can't we have two full-time guys wrestle for the fucking title? I mean, how hard is that?
Welcome to another edition of the Hot Tag Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Justin C., joined by my co-host, the chairman, Steven Vincent. Unfortunately, Cam a little under the weather this week, so he is unable to join us. Here to catch up on a lot of things. I know last week we told you guys we were going to do the 20 years of Randy Orton, but we're going to hold off on that for another week since Cam also missed the 10 years after Brock Lesnar's return. We're not going to do both those shows without him, so we're going to hold off on the 20 years of Randy Orton until next week for you guys. But what we will do this week is Chairman and I are going to preview WrestleMania Backlash, go through the 6-match card. I kind of thought it was more matches than that, but only 6 matches, so we'll break those down. We'll also catch up on AEW as well. Got a couple weeks worth of AEW to talk about with the card for Double or Nothing kind of seeming like it's going to be taking shape, so we'll talk about that. But we're going to start with from last week, the NXT releases that came down last week. The most notable ones that were Dakota Kai, kind of a stalwart of the NXT women's division forever. Malcolm Bivens, who had been managing the Creed brothers and Diamond Mine. Probably the only real, I guess you have, what's his name? That's with that Von Wagner guy whose name Robert Stone. That's who it is. He's kind of a manager there now, but not as good as Malcolm Bivens. You had Harland, who was Parker Boudreaux, who many thought was going to be a big star. He was released. He was the guy that was with Joe Gacy. Again, that was a surprise there that he was gone. And then also some other ones. The only real one that I think that I know on TV was Persia Parada, who was with Duke Hudson, who had the storyline with Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell. Of course, Dexter Lumis also released. That was like a weird thing they had on NXT this week. I saw the clip, and it was Duke Hudson and Indy Hartwell are both backstage looking at each other, and like Indy Hartwell has her wedding ring off, and you can tell like they're basically like, oh yeah, our significant others left each other, and they went to go kiss, and then they stopped each other. So they're like, not a chance, not going to happen. So I guess that's how they wrote those guys off, Dexter Lumis and Persia off TV. But I mean, Dakota Kai apparently, the reports are that they didn't see her as a main roster woman, which I just don't get at all. I mean, I think Dakota Kai could have been a very good mid-card, I guess, women's mid-card hand to have on the roster. She had a unique look with the pink hair. She was kind of developing this, like crazy schizo persona on NXT. I just don't get it. Maybe it's because, there was the Ember Moon in an interview last week where they were like Johnny Laurinaitis had a meeting with women that said to dress more sexier, which, whatever, it's stupid. Dakota Kai is somebody who, like, if I were to be in charge of WWE and I had my own women's show, like I said I would do all the time if I was in charge, like, perfect hand to have around in the mid-card, somebody that you could probably wrestle, like, the younger women coming up, to get them ready, and also like, go up there and wrestle the veterans, too. It's just that one, like, out of the rest of them, like, Malcolm Bivens, I just think is stupid because why? Apparently they asked him to resign a few months ago and he didn't. So why would you put Malcolm Bivens with the Creed brothers who are pushing, no offense to Cameron Grimes, you're pushing to the moon, and you put him with them as a manager, and now they're gone. So that, and Dexter Lumis, again, only because he was involved in kind of like semi-mid-card storyline on NXT that have been going on forever now. That's just the one that surprises me the most. Or that's how it doesn't surprise me the most, excuse me. That just surprises me there. The rest of the names, I mean, like I said, I read off the ones that I knew. I can go through the rest of them really quick. Again, I don't recognize any of the ones other than the ones that I just named. Raylan Devine, Mila Milani, Draco Anthony, Sanja George, and Paige Prinzavali. Not really familiar with any of them. So, what are your thoughts there, Chairman, on those releases when you saw them? I'm assuming it's kind of just like me, where a couple of them are like, really? And then the rest are like, okay, whatever.
Oh, for sure. And let's talk about real quick the one guy that wants to get released, but they haven't, and that's Roderick Strong. Which, honestly, if you're releasing all the wrestlers you just released, and then you have a guy like Roderick Strong who wants out, and obviously we all know that NXT 2.0 is kind of trending towards younger wrestlers that they're developing. Obviously, we all know Roderick Strong has been a solid hand in the independent scene for years before he came to NXT. You know, he's a Ring of Honor guy. You know, obviously the whole Undisputed Era is in AEW now. His wife, Marina Shafir, is in AEW now. I mean, Roderick Strong's like 38 going on 39 years old, so it's like, just let him go. Like, he wants out. You guys have nothing for him. You basically gutted his whole faction, you know, in the last, like, how many releases. I mean, just let Roderick Strong go. But back to the other releases. I mean, Dakota Kai definitely was the most noteworthy. I literally opened Twitter up last Friday, I think it was, when it all went down. I was like, holy shit, that was a surprise. I thought Dakota Kai had tremendous upside. I thought she was fantastic when she debuted in the Mae Young tournament years ago. You know, she was a solid babyface. I mean, I remember, like, when she was in, like, complete fear of Shayna Baszler, back when Shayna Baszler was treated and booked as a complete badass, if you remember those days. And I thought, you know, Dakota Kai would maybe overcome her fears and take the title from Baszler. Obviously, that never happened. And then, you know, we've seen the work of Dakota and, you know, to Tegan Knox. You know, there's some good stuff there. You know, they had a good feud. And then, you know, Dakota with Raquel Gonzalez. Now they changed her to Rodriguez. I don't know why. Whatever. But, you know, and then, of course, they had their tag team run, their fallout, their weird reuniting of winning the tag titles for a night and then dropping them back to Toxic Attraction. So that just tells you the booking is just a mess. But I think Dakota Kai is a fantastic asset. I think, you know, honestly, they could have just kept her and Raquel together on, you know, Raw, SmackDown, wherever they're at now. And they could have had another tag team for the women's tag team division that is severely lacking and seems to only matter when it's WrestleMania. But, you know, we have WrestleMania Backlash coming up, so they love the rematches from WrestleMania. So, I mean, you know, fill the card up, whatever. But, yeah, this Dakota Kai one's a bummer. I'm sure she'll bounce back. She'll be fine, you know, whatever she wants to do next. And, you know, I mean, Malcolm Bivens, I think, is very charismatic. I think he'll be fine if he wants to stay in the business. I think he's, you know, he comes off across as hilarious on Twitter. It seems to be beloved by a lot of people. So that one is kind of a surprise. Baby Brock was kind of a surprise, too. Harlan, I think they changed his name to. So, of course, he kind of was wrestling in NXT when I kind of lost focus on it. Dexter Lumis, I mean, Sebastian Shaw or Samuel Shaw, where the hell his name is. No, Sebastian Shaw's an X-Men character. I'm talking about Samuel Shaw, the old, I don't know, Dexter Morgan, Creepy Stash. So, I mean, they're really not out anything there, I don't think. I think his gimmick was just doesn't work. I don't know. Some people liked it, I guess, but it didn't work for me. Persia, okay, she's starting an OnlyFans apparently on Twitter, she said, so cool for her. Make that money, girl. You gotta do what you gotta do. But yeah, the rest of these people you named, Justin, I don't even know who the hell they are, so that just goes to show you, unless it's the big-time NXT talent anymore, I don't know who you are.
Yeah, I mean, hell, that's why the Iconics stopped, or the Inspiration, whatever you want to call them. They took some time away from Impact because they're doing whatever their OnlyFans and making tons of money on that. So, hey, if you can make that much money off of wrestling fans and don't have to take a bump and risk injury, by all means, go ahead and make your money. I ain't gonna shame you at all whatsoever. It's good for you. I 100% think they're not releasing Roderick Strong out of spite because they see that Cole and Fish and O'Reilly are over on AEW, and they know pretty much probably that if they release Strong, he's probably going to go right over there, I would assume, and get added to that story. His, I believe, wife, Maria Shafira, I think that's how you say it, Marina Shafira, however you say her name, excuse me. I apologize if I got that wrong. But his wife is over there too, so it's 100% Bruce Pritchard out of spite, or John Laurinaitis, whoever it is. They don't want to end up releasing him because they know he's going to go right there, which is why they don't want people using their independent names anymore, because they feel like they're making names for themselves over at AEW because of that name, which is obviously 100% wrong. But apparently this is going to be the new norm now for NXT, where they're going to keep cycling people in and taking people out after 90 days. They feel like somebody's not, living up to the potential or whatever you want to say. But like you said, Harlan, Joe Gacy has druids of his own now, so I guess that's probably why they didn't need Harlan anymore, because the Undertaker sold his druids to Joe Gacy. But like you said, yeah, I mean, NXT is totally a new, pretty much new kind of brand with, they're veterans who have been there forever. Like they sent Dolph down, Natalia's down there now, but it's for the likes of your Grayson Wallers and your Cora Jades and your Cameron Grimeses and your, your Braun Breakers, those kind of guys. Carmelo Hayes too. There's Santos Escobar, who I'm a fan of, but it's just not the greatest anymore. You get some, like, the takeover of WrestleMania weekend was good, but like it's not something you'll watch every single week. I watched a little bit of it in between basketball and baseball playoffs the other night, and it just wasn't that anything that you would want to watch on a regular basis. The days of the old NXT are long gone. And so that's NXT. Let's go to AEW here. Like I said, we got a couple weeks of AEW to catch up on here. It seems like the card for Double or Nothing is taking shape. And honestly, it's not looking, we say this almost, I feel like, on every AEW pay-per-view, but I've said this a few times over the last weeks, just the way they're booking a lot of their champions just doesn't make sense. I thought last night was one of the weaker Dynamites that's been around since the show started. They had the Ring of Honor women's title main event with like zero to little build, and it's like, I don't know if it was, hey, look we treat our women's division the right way, we're letting the main event that got them to do that, but it's like, you can't just throw that match out there between Diana and Mercedes Martinez and have people people care. Like, it's nothing against those women, but it's like there was zero build, zero heat to that match at all, and having that main event just felt weird when you could have done like Phoenix versus Dante Martin in the main event, or maybe done Jeff Hardy, Bobby Fish for your main event. But it just seems like that was just a weird booking decision. Thunder Rosa's and Serena Deeb's segment, fine. It's a little different for a women's title match, but I thought that promo was awful. Especially Thunder Rosa was just out there seeming like she was reciting lines like WWE bad level, trying to remember lines to say. And the Brian Pillman promo, and then you thought they were going to get a resolution to the Julia Hart thing, and again, they stretched that out. It seems like, Double or Nothing, I guess, will probably be considered their number 2 pay-per-view after All Out, but I don't know, aside from Hangman and CM Punk, nothing's really sticking out to me right now. And MJF Wardlow, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. MJF Wardlow is something I am looking forward to. But otherwise, it's like, it's not, we still have time. We still have like about, I think, 3 or 4 weeks. So they still have time to build something, but I'm not really as hyped for this AEW pay-per-view a few weeks out as I should be. What about you, Chairman?
I'm starting to wonder if Cody Rhodes' departure has really hurt them, like, creative-wise. And, it's just, something seems off since he left. Like, something just isn't as exciting as it was. I feel like they're just throwing shit to a wall, seeing if it sticks or not. The Heyman Page promo, finally nice to see him actually in the ring in front of fans, finally. I wish he would wrestle some more matches, being world champion, but I think what his promo last night was pretty good. Pretty much called out CM Punk for not being there. He was kind of showing some heel tendencies there. He kind of confronted that CM Punk fan wearing that shirt, and said after I beat him, he could burn the shirt, So when we were talking a couple weeks ago about potentially CM Punk turning heel after this rivalry, it might be Heyman Page going to the dark side, which honestly I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think Heyman Page, vanilla babyface run of the last couple years, it's kind of run its course, and I think we need to change gears with Heyman. So maybe a heel turn wouldn't be the worst thing for him. Maybe he can re-up with the Undisputed Elite after this is all done. Or maybe he hires them to help him retain against CM Punk. Who knows? Lots of directions that could go. Like you said, too, MJF and Wardlow, fantastic rivalry. We're finally getting somewhere there. I mean, we all knew the hint from a week before that MJF was bringing Morrissey in, also known as Big Cass. And I think Cass actually, Jesus, Morrissey, I was impressed. He looked really good last night. I know he wrestles for Impact, but unfortunately I don't watch Impact, just too busy. But, he looked good in that match, did the job that needed to be done. The chants for Enzo and No We Don't Want Him were hilarious between the fans. That was good stuff. But Thunder Rosa right now, I mean, I feel like she won the title and then just that was kind of it for her. Like, it's the infamous babyface chase is better than when the babyface has the title. And I know there's a lot of people that are excited that she's facing Serena Deeb. And I don't have a problem with Serena Deeb as a wrestler. I think she's great in the ring. But her character is kind of like, there's not much there to offer in my book. Like, she had a feud with Shida that felt like it was never ending. Like, that thing went on for months, it felt like. I mean, and now you're trying to sell Serena Deeb and Thunder Rosa on a big pay-per-view stage. I don't think this match is going to do it for people. I mean, this is a fine Dynamite match, fine for Rampage, but I don't think it's worthy of Double or Nothing. I feel like there's a lot more stronger women that could challenge Thunder Rosa than Serena Deeb, that have more character, more stability, promo-wise. I mean, I feel like a lot of the top women are kind of involved in the Owen Hart tournament. We see like Britt Baker and Ruby Rue Soho, Toni Storm. Lots of high-end women are in that tournament. And I almost feel like whoever comes out of that tournament in the final, that women's match, I feel like is going to overshadow Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb. So that's kind of where I'm at with, the Double or Nothing card that we know of or speculate as of now. And I mean, there's lots of other things to talk about with AEW as well. You touched on the Julia Hart thing, and I'm really annoyed last night that she didn't hit, Griff Garrison with a chair. Like, it needs to happen at this point. I think we're at the point now where the story needs to move to the next level here. It's like, I don't know how long we're going to hold off on this Julia Hart thing. It just needs to happen. I mean, I was getting excited last night thinking that she was going to finally join, Malachi Black and those guys. But how much longer are we going to wait, man?
I think one of the main problems with Cody leaving and what they have to do now is they have to find an extra 5 minutes now at minimum to fill the show with, considering his entrance took up so much of that. So they got to find that extra 5-minute time, and they're just struggling to fill it. So that's probably part of the reason why Cody leaving has a hole with that. And I'm the same way with William. I kept wanting to call. It's just so much easier to say Big Cass than William Morrissey. William Morrissey or W Morrissey, whatever it is. This seems like such a weird wrestling name. Though I'm convinced after last night that he's the love child of Kevin Nash and Edge. After looking at him, like, I just looked at him and go, okay, he's tall like Kevin Nash. Oh my God, like I don't know, like, he never looked that much like Edge to me when he was Big Cass in WWE, and I don't know why all of a sudden I feel like he looks like like Edge now. But I'm just seeing, there's a guy I worked the Sabres game, the last Sabres game last week, and there was a guy in my section that looked just like Edge too, but his hair was shorter, but he wore like the gray winter hat that Edge used to wear back when he was a heel, and he had the same kind of beard, and I was just like, I know that's not Edge, but it looks a lot like him. So maybe I'm just seeing Edge lookalikes everywhere now, and that's all I'm seeing. Maybe that's the reason why. But yeah, I mean, the problem with the women's division is it seems like they don't know what to do if it's not based around Dr. Britt Baker as champion. Like I said before, there was a stat I saw somewhere that, like, between Thunder Rosa winning the title and her match at Battle of the Belts, she had like a total of 3 minutes of TV time on Dynamite during that span, which is not something that your women's champion should have. And that was even without, I'm pretty sure Dr. Britt Baker wasn't on TV during that time. I think a lot of what might have done it is, she lost at the pay-per-view and then won 2 weeks later. I think, people saw that and were like, oh, come on, like, really, like, that's WWE booking where you lose at the pay-per-view and then 2 weeks later you end up winning the title, or you win the title at the pay-per-view and then lose it 2 weeks later. That's WWE booking in a nutshell. That's kind of why I think that might have hurt her more than the AEW people seem to realize. But yeah, like you said, everybody's kind of like in this Owen Hart tournament now, so they seem like that's where everybody is kind of focused on, and it seems like even Jade Cargill gets more TV time than Thunder Rosa, and it seems like there's more of a focus on her even than Thunder Rosa. So I think that's part of the problem, is that Thunder Rosa is pretty much, even as AEW World Champion, third in line as far as storylines go in the women's division compared to what's going on with the Owen Hart tournament and what's going on with Jade Cargill, even though, Toni Storm debuted, had one match on Dynamite, and that's it. I think maybe she had a match on Rampage, I think. Is it this week she has a match on Rampage? Maybe I'm wrong, so forgive me there. But that's what it seems like it is. It's like the same thing with their, other champions. It's like Jurassic Express retained the tag titles against Fish and O'Reilly, where everybody thought they were going to lose, and now, again, they're barely, doing anything as tag team champions now. Like FTR is obviously overshadowing them, and the potential of a Hardys versus Young Bucks match there now seems to be overshadowing them. It's like they don't know how to book their like you said, they don't know how to book their face champions once they get there. And here we are again with Jurassic Express, where I'm like, okay, they retain, now do something with them, and that hasn't happened yet. So who knows what is going to happen there? They
got a match, man. They got a match coming up with Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks versus Jungle Boy for the FTW title.
Oh man, yeah, the FTW title, which was not defended, has barely been defended so far, or at that. All right, so they did release the brackets for the Owen Hart men's tournament last night on Dynamite. So on the left side of the bracket, we got Rey Fenix against Kyle O'Reilly, and then Samoa Joe versus the Joker, because you got to have a Joker, I guess, in every single thing AEW does. And then on the right side of the bracket, we got Cole and Dax Hardwood against Jeff Hardy and Darby Allin. I don't know. I feel like they probably want to have at least a face win on the men's side of things. So I'm looking at these brackets, and I wouldn't want to give it to Jeff Hardy. I would love to see a Rey Fenix Darby Allin final. I guess maybe that's where I would point in that direction. I don't know who Samoa Joe's Joker is. If it's Satnam Singh, however you say his name, if it's him, that's just awful. But I'm going to go ahead and pencil in a Rey Fenix Darby Allin final here. That's what I want to see. And I think I would maybe even give it to Darby Allin. Let him get the win. I guess the rub, if you want to say, of the Owen Hart Memorial Tournament win. But I'll take Darby Allin here in this tournament. Who are you going to pick here, Chairman?
Well, it didn't take long to get a dream match of mine once I found out Jeff Hardy signed up AEW. Like, I kept tweeting, I think, how I wanted to see Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin, because, like, you got two guys that pretty much put their bodies on the line and no regard for their bodies, and will flat out, like, try to outspot each other. So, like, this is going to be fantastic. I'm all for this match. But as far as I look at this bracket goes, I feel like Samoa Joe and Adam Cole, for some reason, is going to be the way it goes. Like, Kyle O'Reilly will probably face Samoa Joe, and then, he'll get the whole Undisputed Elite thing, and then Joe will have to deal with him, and then Joe will have to deal with Cole. So that's just kind of the way I'm seeing it. But, yeah, I mean, potentially we have Jeff Hardy or Darby Allin against Adam Cole, because as much as I love Dax Harwood, and that match he had with Cash Fleer last week was a freaking banger. But, like, those guys were tag guys, so I definitely see Cole beating him. But, Phoenix and O'Reilly's going to be great, too. I mean, the Joker, that could be anybody, as long as it ain't that guy that hangs out with Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt, because nobody wants to see that. I think it's going to be someone that's not in AEW at the moment, though. I think it could be a lot of guys. Well, I don't know, honestly. Maybe I've heard a lot of names come through. We can speculate all day. Who knows? So, yeah, it'll be exciting. This tournament should be great. I like the layout of it. I think we're going to get some good matches out of it.
Yeah, Adam Cole definitely needs something, too. I just think we talked about this thing last week, how he just kind of seems like he's floundering right now on AEW without a story and waiting for Kenny Omega to come back. But I feel like I said, he's been a slight disappointment for me so far in AEW. Obviously he wouldn't fit in the new NXT, and obviously what they had planned for him on the main roster is what there was rumored with him cutting his hair and changing his name, because heaven forbid you call somebody with Cole the same name as Michael Cole. He's probably better off here. But he needs to pick me up, or they need to get Kenny Omega back. I know he's injured, obviously, but sooner rather than later, in order for him to get things going again, I guess, if you want to say, in AEW. So they haven't released the women's bracket yet. The only thing we know is that there is who is it? It's Toni Storm. Jamie Hayter is definitely going to be a first round matchup because Tony Khan wants to give the people what they want, and he's gonna do that match. We know Dr. Britt Baker is in it. We know Ruby Soho is in it. We also know, I know there's a couple other people, or not, maybe not. Why did I think there were? But there's not. So just those women so far. So I guess they got to get that thing moving along. So good job them. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody else. I doubt Jade Cargill is going to be in it. I don't think Thunder Rosa will be in it. There was one match they announced I forgot if it was on Rampage or Dynamite between two Japanese women whose names are slipping by head.
Shida and Red Velvet are also in the tournament too, and then the winner of Rio versus Sakakazi, I butchered that. They're fighting on Rampage, I guess.
Okay, yep, okay. I thought Shida was in the tournament too, but all right, yeah. By the way, when did Red Velvet turn heel? Did I miss that somewhere on like a Rampage that I didn't watch, or
I think that would happen on like Dark Elevation or Dark or something. I don't know. I'm with you. Like I totally missed that. I'm like, weren't they feuding? Now she's a baddie along with that Kira Hogan.
Yeah.
I mean, good for Jade Cargill getting a faction though, because everyone in AEW has to have a faction.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, Brandy's not there to pretend not to try to stop Red Velvet from turning to the bad side. So again, look at Brandy leaves, and there you go. Red Velvet turns heel. This is what happens when you let the Rhodes leave the AEW. Weird things like this happen. I'm trying to think. Nothing else really AEW related too much. We caught up there. We talked about Double or Nothing. What's coming up for Double or Nothing? Oh, one thing I want to bring up, is it just me, Chairman, or does it seem like as cool as Moxley and Danielson and Wheeler Yuta are together right now as the Blackpool Combat Club, it's just like they're not doing anything and they need to do something soon. Is it just me, or are you feeling that too?
Yeah, I'm waiting for something big to happen here with these three. It's like, William Regal in commentary is hilarious, calls Excalibur the man in the mask, and we all love Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson, and Wheeler Yuta's float your boat. That's cool too. Yeah, I mean, they're literally just beating up a bunch of 3 people tags like Butcher and Blade. They took the L here,
yeah.
And I guess they adopted Angelico since Jack Evans is no longer in AEW, along with like Joey Janela, Marco Stunt, apparently Stu Grayson. Yeah. Apparently he's on the outs now of Dark Order. So, but yeah, I mean, are they doing a trios title or what are we doing here? That's what I want to know. Are they going to go win the IWGP Trios Championship at Forbidden Door? I mean, that's kind of what I'm wondering this is going to lead to here. Because, like, there's something big has to happen. Some big trio needs to step up and face these guys. And that's probably what's going to happen at Double or Nothing. They're going to be in a trios match.
Yeah, I mean, to bring up Stu Grayson, it's like, I honestly feel like if it wasn't for the unfortunate passing of Brody Lee, like, you could totally just dump the Dark Order at this point. I mean, Ty Conti obviously isn't with them anymore. Stu Grayson's apparently gone. I don't think Anna Jay really has like association with them outside of like BTE skits. Just keep John Silver and like Alex Reynolds together as a tag team, but otherwise, like, they're the least important faction in AEW right now. I don't even think they've been.
Oh no! You can't forget about the Bowling Club team.
Yeah. I'm sorry. My apologies. That's right. So, second least important faction after them.
Actually, there's a couple more, like Andrade House Party that I think sucks. I think there's a couple of weird ones on like Dark Elevation we never see, like Serpentico and Luther Vandross. I don't know. There's a couple other weird factions. That weird one with Dolph Ziggler's brother, that Peter Avalon. That's a freaking weird one.
Yeah.
The Gun Club. So I mean, they're somewhere up there in the hierarchy, I guess, of like the 87 factions.
Yeah. Not maybe like the bottom 25% will say they're in, but I can't even remember the last time. John Silver, I think, fought CM Punk on Dynamite a few weeks ago. I think that's what it was. That might have been the last time.
Next week.
Oh, is it next week?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Why did I? Okay. I knew I saw that John Silver promo from somewhere, and I'm like, I thought it was for. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, next week. But yeah, it's like get Cole Cabana out there to help John Silver at his side there as he distracts CM Punk. But yeah, it's like they just there's obviously, like we just said, there's way too many factions around right now in AEW, and they talked about like we said, we just got those guys that were released. I think there was a couple before that, Marco Stunt's no longer there. His contract was expired, his contract expire, and there were a couple more guys earlier too. It's just it's like they got to start trimming some of the dead weight there. And so we'll see what happens with AEW in the weeks out when it comes to that, and with Double or Nothing coming up. All right, let's get into our WrestleMania Backlash preview taking place this Sunday, Mother's Day, which I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys that I completely did not realize Mother's Day was this Sunday until like last weekend when a buddy brought it up to me. When I asked my buddy if he wanted to go to a lacrosse game on Saturday night, and he's like, Mother's Day's the next day. I was like, oh shit, it is. It's normally the second weekend in May. So that took me by surprise there. But maybe you'll treat your mother to watching WrestleMania Backlash this Sunday.
Well, because we live in parts of the U.S. where it hasn't even gotten to like 70 degrees, I don't think, once yet. We're still in like fourth spring, or fourth winter, I don't know what it's called anymore. It's been super cold, so it doesn't feel like May, therefore it doesn't feel like Mother's Day.
Yep. I think I had one 70-degree day 2 weekends ago on a Sunday. That's it. But otherwise, I've had none. It's supposed to get like that next weekend. But yeah, like it's been rainy. It's been, damp here. I'm supposed to get drainage fixed in my backyard, but they haven't been able to do it yet because it's too wet in my backyard. I mean, that's the problem, is because of the drainage not draining properly. But yeah, it's been too wet for them to do that. There's barely been any sun. Yeah, like spring. Like I remember reading an article a couple days ago how spring sports in I live in Buffalo. Chairman lives in Iowa, but it's spring sports in like the Western New York area just haven't been able to do anything. There's been so little to be able to do for baseball and softball because of how shitty the weather's been. And if Cam was on right now, he'd be like, oh well, yeah, I'm in Barstow, California, or not Barstow. Yeah, he's in Barstow. Yeah, it's been like 60 degrees here. That's like a cold day for him. But yeah, it's like WrestleMania Backlash. It's a 6-match card. I mean, they went from having the tag title unification match between RK Bro and the Usos to making it a 6-man tag, and I just don't get it. I mean, like, why would you advertise that and then switch it? I mean, guys, you don't have to have Roman Reigns wrestle at every single show. You could have kept Reigns off this card, or even had him be in. You could have say Reigns is going to be there, but he'll be like in the corner of the Usos, and just have that tag title match. I mean, it's cool. Yeah, okay, it's cool. Maybe like we talk about all the time, like, oh, this would be like the title's not defended. Cool, it's this big, but like, you do 6-man tags, 8-man tags all the time. It's not like back in the day where you would have a big 6-man tag like this and it feels like a big deal. It doesn't feel like that anymore. I mean, hopefully because it's 6 matches, this card will be short. Honestly, depending on how my Mother's Day plans go, I may watch it, I may not. I'm making dinner for my mom on Sunday night, so it depends how late it is, depending if I want to start it. But this card has very little, no pun intended. I mean, it's got some flair on it because Charlotte's on it, but it's got very little flair to me. There's going to be some good wrestling on there, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a noteworthy pay-per-view. What do you think, Chairman?
Oh, it's skippable. Like, we have 4 of the 6 matches I already seen in WrestleMania, so why do I want to see these again? I get this WrestleMania Backlash gimmicks, I don't like it. Like, I thought WrestleMania was kind of supposed to be like the show of shows, the end of the ends. Like, the new season starts, for WWE kind of like after WrestleMania, and here we're still continuing things that should have been wrapped up at WrestleMania. Like, I don't... Like, why should fans care about WrestleMania? Should we all flock to WrestleMania Backlash for nonstop crazy wrestling if this is where these feuds are supposed to end? Or are they going to continue to Hell in a Cell next month? Like, where does it end? Like, yeah, you have 4 rematches from WrestleMania. You have the tag title scenario, which is completely disappointing because, like you, Justin, I was totally hyped for a RK Bro, Usos, unification match, which would have been a fantastic main event. Like, you didn't have to have Roman wrestle, like you said. If you're going to have a tag team title unification match with 2 of the best tag teams in WWE right now, that could have been your main event. That would have been interesting. That probably would have got me to tune in because that screams big match feel. And what's going on with Roman Reigns? I thought Shinsuke confronted him, and then they kind of just pushed him aside, and now Drew's getting into the picture here. But then they're doing a 6-man. Like, why can't we just do Roman versus Drew? Of course, I wouldn't do Roman versus Drew in a B pay-per-view either, but, they could have had those guys have the night off, and then just had the tag title match. And then, of course, if it wasn't a WrestleMania rematch or this big tag match, the big premier live event, main event of main events, Happy Corbin and Mad Crap Moss. Like, you can't have an Intercontinental United States Championship match, but you can put that crappy match on there. Like, you couldn't have saved that for a Friday Night SmackDown. Like, who decided that was good when Ricochet's got the Intercontinental title collecting dust, or they could have put Vince's new boy toy Theory in the United States title on there for a match at least. It's like, this card just looks like garbage.
Who do you got in that match right away? Let's just get that out of the way right now.
Oh, let's just get rid of it real quick. I don't even care. I hope it's a double count out and they go away. I'm gonna say Happy Corbin wins. No, I'm not. I'm gonna say Madcap Moss wins, and then maybe Happy Corbin's gonna degrade himself into the stained white shirt again. Yeah, Madcap Moss. Why not?
Okay, I'll go with Happy Corbin just to go a little different because I am one behind you. Our standings at this moment have Chairman in the lead with a record of 24-14. I'm right behind him at 23-15, and Cam is in third at 20-18. So plenty of room for either one of us to jump up or down, but that's where we are right now with our year.
I must have cleaned up on Mania then because I was behind.
Yeah, let's see, where was it? Yeah, you only had I took some bounces at bad breaks at WrestleMania. You only had 3 wrong at Mania. You picked New Day and they lost. You picked Seth and they lost, and you picked Zelina and Carmella to retain and they lost. So those were your three. Yeah,
no's. I didn't know Seth's opponent though. To my defense, that should be a half point.
What was that?
We didn't know Seth's opponent going in. Half point.
Half point? Yeah, okay. Then we each only get half points for the win. We get a half point deduction for the win then? Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was, like I said, I haven't watched the last few SmackDowns on Friday just because I've been out and busy. But like when I saw that Corbin and Moss had broken up, I'm like, oh, okay, like really, Corbin gets another appearance on a pay-per-view? Like, yeah, I'm sure Corbin's a good company guy, but it's like I don't need him on having a pay-per-view match. Like you said, this is a 9:15 time slot on SmackDown that could be perfectly good right here. I don't see anything, Corbin. I don't see anything in Moss at all whatsoever that I think that's worthy of a pay-per-view main event. Hopefully for the good people in Providence who are attending, they only have to worry about that for 5 minutes. All right, let's get to the rest of the show here. Let's get Lashley and Omos, however how you say his name, Osmosis Jones, with MVP now because MVP turned heel after WrestleMania and joined up with Osmosis Jones because Lashley did everything on his own and he didn't need MVP's help, and now he's mad at him. I don't care about this match at all. If I'm going to pick Lashley because I don't want Osmosis Jones winning anything ever again. He's just, it's like him and Veer. They're trying to push both these big guys on Raw, and it's just like neither of these guys had the charisma that Strowman had in order to get them over as big, powerful jobbers, or to beat up jobbers like that. Like, nobody cares. And you got Lashley, who is still, he's still doing fine. Like, I still like him from when I see him on Raw. It's like his stuff isn't bad yet. He's just stuck working with Omos here, and it's just like, get this guy out of this feud. And then, like, MVP will just do whatever with Omos for the next few months. Then maybe Vince will probably lose, faith in him and then release him because that guy can't do shit in the ring. AJ Styles carried him in a tag team for months. Good for him for making the money, but let's get us out of the way and let's go with Lashley winning here. What do you got, Chairman?
I wish Lashley would win, but he's not going to because we have to split it. This worst 50-50 booking.
Yeah, Mustafa Ali was a victim of that this Monday.
Everyone's a victim of that in the WWE. Like, he's got MVP in his corner now. MVP's going to build him up as the next great contender, the next great wrestler. So, Osmosis Jones is going to win, and then a Hell in a Cell, it's going to be Bobby Lashley versus Osmosis Jones, Part 3. Only this time, it's going to be with MVP in a 2-on-1 handicap match for all the marbles, for the Money in the Bank qualifying match.
Ugh.
I don't know.
Please don't don't take the idea from TNA and do like a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, like Lockdown and have every match inside a Hell in a Cell. Like, I didn't mind TNA's like every match in a cage gimmick because, cage matches by that point were just blown out of proportion. Hell in a Cell should always, it's that time of the month when if you're bringing up a gimmick pay-per-view to us, we're going to tell you how there should not be any gimmick pay-per-views and how it's, these matches should only be brought up when it's the end of like a 6-month blood feud where these two can't settle anywhere else. But that's something, it's a rant we'll get into in a month when we actually get that pay-per-view. Let's get to ones. Okay, so these matches coming up, they shouldn't actually be too bad wrestling wise. Let's start with AJ Styles versus Edge. Damian Priest is banned from ringside after losing to AJ Styles this past Monday on Raw. It's so funny. It's cool that I just got this different thing going here now with Damian Priest, but then he cuts this promo on Raw on Monday that's basically like every other heel promo where he's making fun of the people in the crowd and making fun of the town that they're in. It's like Edge could be a little better than that. And I guess this group is called Judgment Day, so if you ever wanted a Judgment Day pay-per-view again, sorry, but you're not getting that dream. I did like AJ and Finn Balor teaming up or Finn coming to save AJ this past Monday on Raw and then doing the Too Sweet afterwards. Like, oh, maybe they'll form the club or like their own version of Bullet Club on Raw. But what am I thinking? There's no way in hell that's going to happen. Finn Balor is a jobber at this point to Vince. Again, so this match should be good. Wrestling-wise, Edge got the win at WrestleMania. Chairman, does he get 50-50 booking here? Does he get it? Does he get the win back?
Oh, absolutely, because we got to do the match of Hell in a Cell. And we might throw these guys in the cell, or maybe we do Edge and Damian Priest versus AJ Styles and Finn Balor. Or maybe Finn Balor turns on AJ and joins with Judgment Day. And then maybe Edge decides to bring Judgment Day pay-per-view back and have a Judgment Day theme for the whole pay-per-view, where you will be judged in your match by Uncle Dave, who will throw stars at you, and then Seth Rollins will shit on you because he doesn't like the star rating system by Uncle Dave. But yeah, I'm going to say that, we have the 50-50 booking in effect here. So Styles clash it all day, baby. Phenomenal form. Boom.
Yeah, I'm going to pick AJ to win here too. Of course, with them being so adamant about Damian Priest being banned from ringside, it leaves the option open of somebody new joining Edge's group. Like you said, whether it's Finn turning on him. I know there were rumors before of Ciampa maybe joining, but now Ciampa is turning heel and fighting Mustafa Ali for some reason. But maybe Ciampa still joins that group there. There you go. Give me that 6-man. Ciampa, Edge, and Damian Priest against Styles, Ali, and Finn Balor. Give me that fact. Give me that 6-man. Should have put that 6-man tag on the show instead of the one we're going to talk about next. Not that this next one's going to be bad, but so I'll pick AJ Styles to win here too. So like I said, the next one, 6-man tag, Roman and the Usos against Drew McIntyre and RK Bro. The rumor is that Drew is next in line for Roman Reigns. I really kind of feel like they're about 6 months too late on a possible Drew McIntyre-Roman Reigns feud after Drew McIntyre got sullied with that Happy Corbin feud for so long. But they have their big show coming up in Cardiff in September. It's a big stadium show. The rumor is that's going to be headlined by Drew versus Roman. I don't trust the WWE to stretch that out that long. I mean, they have Money in the Bank at, I think, Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. They've got SummerSlam at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. So they have a couple big shows coming up. I mean, they could do, I guess, Drew Roman at SummerSlam and then do a rematch at that September show. It's a lot of time. You don't need, again, Money in the Bank is kind of the show where you don't really need something that's almost like a light Royal Rumble where like the Rumble sells itself. Kind of Money in the Bank, I think, is kind of the point now where the Money in the Bank gimmick itself kind of draws people in. So you don't need a bigger match there. So maybe that's where you do Roman versus Shinsuke if you want to circle around back to that at some point. I'm going to go with the faces winning here, though. Obviously, one of the Usos eat the pin, not Roman himself. I can also even see a disqualification finish, and that's how the faces win. But it gives Drew momentum into his eventual match with Roman that's going to take place at either SummerSlam or, like I said, they named that Cardiff show. The name of it is blanking on me right now. But I'll take the good guys here to win this one.
Castle, ain't it? Like King of the Castle or some shit?
Let me look it up real quick. Why don't you give your thoughts here, Chairman, who you think's going to win?
Yeah, I agree with you. The faces need to win. I mean, Roman, obviously, in a 6-man tag, doesn't have to take a pin or, submission.
Clash at the Castle. Sorry.
What about the Castle?
It's Clash at the Castle.
Clash at the Castle?
Yep.
Sweet. I hope there's a castle match, like a cinematic castle match, and they bust out Claymore swords. Freaking badass. You have Braveheart. But yeah, I just think like Roman obviously doesn't have to take the loss here. Jimmy or Jay can eat the pin or the submission, whatever you want to do. I think honestly, we're in this 20 years of Randy Orton campaign here. I think Randy Orton needs to be pushed to the moon right now. I think him and Riddle need to do something big here. And Drew, well, he'll get his opportunity. He'll probably win Money in the Bank and then be like, I'm cashing in at Cash of the Castle, blah blah blah. And then, yeah, whatever. But, yeah, I would really like to see RK Bro unify those tag titles here, and I think this could be the first step in doing so.
Yeah, my long-term booking would be that's never going to happen is that, Orton gets his shots and loses, and then, like, Riddle wins next year's Royal Rumble, and he has to obviously kind of split from RK Bro, and Orton's kind of like, dude, go. It's your time, and then Riddle wins one of the world titles at WrestleMania, but that's never going to happen. That's just dreaming, so I doubt that'll happen. All right, let's get to the another WrestleMania rematch here. Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins, Part 2. Seth is obviously, he knows his opponent now this time, so he's going to be more prepared storyline wise than Cody Rhodes. So I guess that'll be the story of this match here. Let's go to it, Chairman. Who do you got?
I'm tired of picking Seth Rollins. He's my boy, but he loses all these big matches like the last how many years now.
Welcome to my Liv Morgan fandom.
Yeah, I'm picking Cody. Screw the 50-50 booking. Cody's not going to lose already. I think they're going to keep him undefeated for a long time. I think they're going to let him rack up victories until he gets to Roman. I really do. So, but it's like I totally forgot that Hell in a Cell was next month because I'm always thinking that's a fall pay-per-view. Because when
it used to be a fall pay-per-view. You're right.
Right. Yeah. But you texted me about doing the preview show tonight. I'm like, okay, well, Cody could just beat Seth and then Money in the Bank. Oh, that's right. We got a pay-per-view in between, so that might not work out. But I'm still gonna bet Cody anyway, just because.
Yeah, I'm with you too. It's not time for Cody to lose yet, and they're smart in not having him lose yet so far. It's good on them for doing that. Seth is kind of in that point where he can absorb losses, and it's not too much of a killer for him. I mean, he's wacky, like, oh my God, what's his name? Joaquin Phoenix, Joker style character can just kind of go crazy. I almost kind of think they, at some point, might have to start thinking about turning him face because he's kind of like his music is getting, obviously the sing along with his music is getting over with the crowd. But I just think he might have to start thinking about possibly turning him face somewhere down the line to kind of go with that reaction.
Well, the weird thing is it was like going that way too right after the Roman stuff, and then all of a sudden they kind of just didn't go through with it. It's like, guys, let the crowd dictate your show. Like, go follow the crowd. Quit being all stubborn.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, when I went to Raw a few weeks ago, like I said, Cody was by far the most over guy there, even when going against Seth. But I think Seth got probably the second or third, like, probably would be number 2 or number 3, just trying to think off the top of my head. I would probably put Seth right there after Cody as far as what they got reactions-wise. But yeah, it's definitely, I think you got to get, it's one of those things where whenever they do the redraft or whatever they end up doing, you got to get Cody and Seth on 2 different brands. I'm going to pick Cody to win here. I wonder if Cody's going to be somebody that wins Money in the Bank, and that's how they get to him and Roman for one of the titles. If Cody brings the Winged Eagle title back, if he wins the WWE title, he will become. Maybe I'll consider getting not a neck tattoo. I'll get a little smaller version of the American Nightmare tattoo, like on my arm or something. I don't have any tattoos, but if Cody, that's what it takes to Cody to bring back the Winged Eagle title, maybe I'll do it.
He will become a wrestling god. Sorry, JBL.
Yes, he would. Yeah. Sorry, JBL. JBL wouldn't be able to see what I'm saying about it anyway because he blocked me on Twitter. All right, let's leave it to I'm sure the one the chairman's looking forward to the most here. SmackDown Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey, I Quit match. Of course, the story is, Ronda's never quit before, and they try to make you believe that Charlotte never has either, even though she's lost multiple times via submission. As pointed out, and the first day they did the WrestleMania package where they had something about, it was like a video package about Sasha Banks, and it showed her tapping out Charlotte like twice, and then they tried to tell you later on in the show that Charlotte's never tapped out before when we had just seen it like an hour earlier in a video package. I don't know. I mean, it's both these. They got to move on after this one way or the other. I don't know if Ronda Rousey has done a video or done a promo where she has screamed "I quit" a lot, and Charlotte can redo the Mankind Rock "I quit" thing from Royal Rumble '99, where they played Mankind saying "I quit" from a promo over the loudspeaker to make you believe that was him saying it. Maybe I don't know if Ronda has said that yet. I don't know. I mean, it's like it's one of those things where it's probably, I guess, maybe the least predictable match on the show, because again, it depends on what are you doing with Ronda. Is Ronda sticking around for a little bit? Then yeah, give her the SmackDown title. But at the same time, there's plenty of other people that Charlotte could lose the SmackDown Women's title to. So I don't know how they're going to end up booking this. Maybe Charlotte will go back and find Ronda's baby Poe and hold Poe hostage until Ronda says "I quit." I don't know. I guess I'll take Ronda to win here because I kind of feel like this will probably end up main eventing, given that the 6-man is not a title match. So I kind of feel like this one's going to end up being the main event of the show. So hopefully, because it's "I quit," which means it's no DQ, whatever, no countouts, that they'll be a little bit better than their WrestleMania match. But yeah, I'll go ahead and give Ronda the win here and say she wins the SmackDown Women's title. Who do you got, Chairman?
It's funny you touched on the Rock Man kind of thing, because I was totally going to drop that if you didn't, because, I was totally thinking, Charlotte's a slime ball. Maybe she'll dig up some vintage footage of Ronnie saying "I quit" and then play it on the loudspeaker, and boom, it's over. We don't have to go through this terrible match. See, I'm going to go see Doctor Strange new movie that day, so I don't have no time for WrestleMania, Backlash, whatever. But I'm going to pick Charlotte because I hate Ronnie, so that's that. I would rather much see Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley, because that's something I want to see, because that's something good going on right now. They had a fallout, and that should be the match that should happen. And then the guy that paid $600 to get a sign taken away, can be happy to see Liv Morgan on TV for the low price of $10 a month for Peacock, or $5, whatever plan you want to go with. But yeah, nobody wants to see Ronnie. She needs to go away, be a mom, just never come back. Asuka's back. That's cool. Maybe Bayley will come back too. Or Alexa Bliss. We don't need you, Ronnie. Go away.
Was it the guy that had the sign on Raw that said "Liv sold the seat"? They had that sign taken away?
Yeah, dude tweeted about it. He's like, he got his sign confiscated. He's like, I paid $600 for these seats, and I guess Liv's all like, oh, hit me up next time I'm in town, and I'll comp your seat for you. Of course, her DM will probably get buried by all the pervs out there, and then people, pretend to be her to sell houses. It's crazy.
God, yeah. Hey, man, somebody paid $10,000 for that whip she had at WrestleMania. So I'm a Liv Morgan fan, but I'm not crazy enough to spend $10,000 on an autograph whip, no matter who she says she whipped with it. I'm sorry, but if you spend that much money on that, I really hope you're like a millionaire, and $10,000 is like $20 to like us common folk.
I heard Elon Musk bought it.
Oh, yeah, okay. And that's how he's gonna take the reins of Twitter back and just use that whip to keep things in control on Twitter. I see. Okay, now it makes more sense. Yeah. Hey, despite Liv Morgan getting the win in the Raw main event this past Monday, I'm not gonna get my hopes up yet until they put her in the Money in the Bank match in 2 months and I pick her to win, and then I just get let down again. But yeah, again, see, you're just kind of comparing the women's divisions here. Like Liv versus Rhea is much more interesting as a secondary feud than anything AEW's got going on their secondary feuds. So just case in point right there. Like you said, same thing. Becky and Asuka. It's like, it's not a title feud, but they're making it seem like it's a big deal. So you got that going on there too. They're definitely branching out their women more. Hell, there's got something going on with Zelina, Carmella, and Sonya Deville. Even that's fine. So whatever, that's just a little side rant. But that is our show for this week. So we'll be back next weekend. Despite us maybe not even watching WrestleMania Backlash live, we will talk about it. I'm sure we'll catch up on it. We'll watch it and give you our thoughts there, whatever the fallout is after that. And next week we will also take care of our 20 years of Randy Orton that we talked about doing this week. But since our other co-host Cam is out sick, hopefully he's feeling a little bit better next week, and we'll be able to get to that to you guys then. So for my co-host today, the chairman Stephen Vincent, I am Justin C. signing off, and we will talk to you guys next week.